Okay, folks, we got a great group here tonight, and once again, we're going to cover some more on the Lincoln toys. Doug Dan's done a great job in the past, along with Bruce Toshak, and tonight we got a tag team because the two of them are going to do a presentation on toy trucks. Lincoln toy trucks are popular to those who know what they are, and so we got a pretty good pictorial report for you tonight, and thanks to these two individual collectors who put a lot of time into gathering the information, along with some others who will be acknowledged at the end of the presentation. So I'll turn it over to Doug Dan and Bruce Toshak, and I will share my screen, and we'll get underway.
Okay, well, thanks, Doug, and welcome, everyone. Bruce and I are excited to do this presentation tonight. This first slide is we're showing you because this represents the colorful trucks that you see, really represent the colors and styles and the graphics that were used so typically like this in the 1950s and 60s. We do note that there's only actually one Lincoln truck in this picture. Before we talk about those details, notice the prices on these trucks at the time. Now, the Lincoln truck in this picture is the bottom tractor trailer, the blue and white one, and I'll call on Bruce to make comments. Bruce?
Okay, yeah, I'd just like to say good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me on. Just want to say that we've tried to be as accurate as we can as part of this presentation. But one thing I have learned just when I think we have this Lincoln toy company figured out, it changes. So bear with me if you think there's something that we're saying that is incorrect. Give me a call or give me a chat afterwards, and we'll try and figure it out. This is a typical blue steel hauler Lincoln truck from the early 50s. Lincoln was very good at colors, lots of different colors and bright colors, nice and shiny trucks.
This is a 1958 Lincoln toy catalog. Their catalogs were very colorful, as you can see. I'd like to take a moment on this slide to point out that we've done, this is our third presentation now. Tonight's focus is on toy trucks, of course, but I will point out for those who have not joined in or you've been with us in the past, the previous two presentations are on YouTube. If you received the email for the Zoom chat tonight, you'll see those links. If you have not got an email about tonight, simply go to YouTube and in the search field type in Lincoln Toy History and or Lincoln Toy Farm Toys, and those two presentations will come up and you can view them in your entirety. The presentation tonight will also be put on YouTube as well. And I'd like to point out and announce tonight that actually we have some more pictures of trucks. It's possible to get a few more trucks pictured perhaps in the near future. And we have slides we're not using tonight that represent construction toys made by Lincoln. And we also have pictures of non-farm toy items that Lincoln produced. So therefore, we've made a decision to do a fourth presentation sometime this winter. And when we get that together, Bruce and I will be working on it along with some other people, and Doug will format it. So we're pleased to announce that there will be another presentation in the future on those types of toys. This catalog, as you can see, features trucks and farm toys, and that's quite typical in their catalogs. Bruce?
I'd just like to say that as part of catalogs, if you're in your searching and going through auctions and whatnot, if you happen to find a Lincoln catalog or any Canadian toy catalog, please pick it up, keep it. They're very rare. The history of all these Canadian toy companies are very rare. So if you find a catalog, try and pick it up and get it to somebody who's archiving the history of Canadian toys.
Okay, this slide you now see of the Lincoln van line trailer. In a moment, Bruce will talk about it in detail. However, at this point tonight, to give you an overview of the trucks we're going to be showing and talking about, I'd just like to give some brief history and timelines on Lincoln toy trucks. The first major line of toys to be called Lincoln toys and marketed through Lincoln Specialty Company were actually a series of metal trucks that were first produced starting in 1946. The trucks were basically of two sizes, and there is a third size, and there was two different conventional cabs in the Lincoln toy line, the Lincoln truck line, and all these trucks bore the early version of the classic oval made and canned Lincoln toy decal, which consisted of black lettering on a gold background. Now, the earliest trucks, Lincoln toy design, all had a two-piece spot welded cab with a vertical grill design that was pressed into the front of the truck into the steel. Interestingly, the first version of these trucks had steel wheels, and then those trucks later had wooden wheels and composition wheels, and then finally they had rubber tire wheels was available. The grill design on the early trucks was eventually changed to a horizontal lines as opposed to the vertical. Also, there was a small version of real early in the production of these trucks, it appears, and they were called junior trucks, and later they called them economy trucks. And we have pictures of all these different versions to show you tonight. Now, the toys with a classic Lincoln conventional truck cab feature full fender skirts and a separate grille. That was the second version truck that came out. And these trucks were all made by Lincoln Steel Company, who produced the, as we call it, the conventional Lincoln conventional cab truck. These trucks with the separate grills first appear in the Simpsons and Eaton catalogs in 1947, 1948. These early trucks were featured usually painted grills in yellow color, and those grills were stamped out separately and attached to the cab with tabs. Most of them had composition rubber type tires at that time. Some of the early classic trucks were a Coke truck, a tow truck, stake trucks, and a car carrier. Now, the other major supplier of trucks through Lincoln Specialties was a company called Elwood Toy Products. They were located in Windsor and Tilbury, Ontario. And they made basically three types of cab over design trucks. So again, their trucks were all cab over vehicles. And they supplied Lincoln toys well into the late 1950s. Also, the Elwood designs included dump trucks, cement mixers, crane trucks, self-loading dump trucks, telephone trucks, and also later they had power shovels, cranes, and construction type toys, and those will be in presentation 4 that we're going to do. Now, there's two other companies that briefly supplied toy trucks and products through Lincoln Specialties, and that was L's Cycle Shop, and Richmond Toys had some influence upon that, and you'll hear more about this later tonight. Bruce?
Yeah, I'd just like to bring everybody's attention to the cab of the truck where it says Lincoln Auto on the door. Right below it, there's looks to be 2 holes. On some of the trucks of this style, that's where the scoop or a self-loader was mounted. So a lot of the trucks have those 2 holes on it. The second part is this early trailer is a 2-piece construction. It's a tab and slot style of construction, and it's not welded. Next slide.
This is a beautiful display of Lincoln toy trucks. You can see the variety of colors, how bright those colors are, the combination colors within the different models, and you see different sizes of trucks, and you'll see a variety of different truck trailer beds and so on, and just simply a beautiful, beautiful collection of trucks there. Bruce?
I'd just like to everybody to see the 4, if not 5 different types of truck, starting at the top with conventional that says Lincoln Van Lines, the tractor trailer. In front of that, there's a medium-sized truck. On the second shelf down from the top, again, a conventional tandem dump truck. In front of that, there is a cab-over cement truck. Below that, on the third shelf from the top, there is what we call the sleeper cab with a machinery float and with a bulldozer on it, which we'll talk about in the future. In front of that, Bell telephone truck. The next shelf down, there's a traditional car carrier single deck. Behind that is a medium-sized tow truck. Below that is 2 different versions of the Coke truck. A gray and a red, and below that a lumber carrier with a pup trailer, which is a very hard to find truck, and on top of that an economy fire truck. Next slide.
It's generally known that the first toy truck that was produced and put out through Lincoln Specialties was known as the Jeep that you see in this picture. It's basically made out of wood. However, there is some metal components to that wood Jeep. And the first known steel toy that was produced and marketed through Lincoln Specialty is regarded as what they call this all-steel cannon. So those 2 toys represent basically the first wood and steel products that were available. Bruce?
Yeah, I'd just like to, you're going to hear us talk about the Richmond Toy Company. I'll give you a little background on that. The Richmond Toy Company was a company in Michigan that produced all metal steel toys. Their factory burned down just before Christmas one year, and all their products were destroyed as part of the fire. Somewhere along the line, we believe the dies came from that factory and into Windsor, and as such were used as part of the Al Cycle Shop Windsor Steel product trucks. This little wooden one, which has steel fenders and a steel front bumper, are a hybrid, we believe, of those Richmond toys. We'll try in the next program we do, we'll get you a couple of pictures of Richmond toys and show you the difference. And you can see why it was an easy transition from Richmond to the Lincoln Toy Company. Just going to bring everybody's attention. Traditionally, Elwood Products or Elwood Toy Company had 2 L's in their name. This toy, this wooden toy, only has 1 L, which when I first seen this, I kind of thought, well, that must be a typo. But actually, we have another toy later on in the program that has a single L in Elwood Products as well. So obviously, it may or may not be a typo. We don't really know why it just has a single L on it. But in your hunt, if you happen to find an Elwood toy with a single L, I'd certainly like to see it. And it's a pretty early Elwood toy product. Again, this is the same Jeep, right-hand drive, which was kind of questioning why that was produced that way when we're all left-hand drive in Canada. Again, wooden wheels, all the same size. The wooden wheels on this toy are the same as the early ones on the early Lincoln Specialty trucks. So yeah, it's a really nice piece and probably one of the earliest Elwood toys that are out there. Next slide.
This is a variety of original Lincoln toy boxes. You can see they use kind of the oval. They use a rectangular design. in the box designs. These boxes are fairly large in size, of course, to fit the trucks. I kind of had to put them together a bit, but please note there's different lengths to these boxes, and they're very simple yet very attractive with graphics. Bruce?
Just like to say that the boxes, these are pretty much the generic boxes, but on almost all of them, on the end tabs, there's the lettering for the toy or what type of toy is in the box. And it also tells part of the story of where that toy was actually produced, whether it was in Windsor or whether it was produced in Tilbury, and who the manufacturer was at that time, whether it was Lincoln Specialties or Milner Metal Products. And we'll talk about that a little later.
More boxes. Note these are marketed through Lincoln Specialties. You can see it's right on there, exclusively through Lincoln Specialties for various trucks. And of course, the Elwood Metal Products is very prominent on those boxes. And again, the Elwood has two L's. This is a truck that's pretty well close to mint. That's the box for it. I'd like to point out the decals. Notice the on top of the hood is the typical common Lincoln oval logo that you will see pretty well on most all Lincoln trucks, whether Lincoln made it or which was Windsor Steel Company, or if Elwood made it. This is an Elwood, of course. And I'd like to point out the large Lincoln construction company. Lincoln, in my opinion, was extremely effective in their marketing and promoting the name Lincoln, and they reflect it through various logos you're going to see tonight. You'd actually think they not only made toys, but they owned the companies when you see these brand type names such as this Lincoln Construction Company. Bruce?
Yeah, I'd just like to bring everybody's attention to the bucket on the front of the truck. That's what I call the self-loader. That was another line that Elwood Products brought out as part of self-loaders. You could get this truck with a self-loader or without. Again, back to the box, you see the catalog number, what the product was, and where it was made. And guys like me who do research on the company, it's really important trying to do cross-referencing to figure out how many toys they actually made, who made them, and at what factory. Next slide.
This is a beautiful mint pair of tow trucks with the boxes. That's the boxes these trucks were in. I would like to point out, and please note, on top of the cab roof of each of those tow trucks, you'll see brown paper. That brown paper is factory original, and Lincoln put brown paper on top the cab roofs and then put them in the boxes to protect the cab tops, is what we feel was going on there. Bruce?
Just like to point out the bottom box, and it's a little hard to see for some of you. Instead of Lincoln Specialties, it says Milner Metal Products. Milner Metal Products took over Lincoln in the early 60s and ran it for just a few years until they ceased operation. Also on the bottom box to the left, you'll see what looks to be a maple leaf, and that's the Canadian Playthings Manufacturing. And what they did was all the Canadian toy manufacturers belonged to this, and once or twice a year they would have a convention where retailers could go and check out the toys that they made for the year and hopefully order them for the Christmas time.
Bruce,
Next slide.
Bruce, I think in a prior session you explained that Milner was the name of one of their senior employees that worked at Lincoln, and when Lincoln was going to cease operations, if I recall correctly, you said Milner kind of took it over, and that's how that came about. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. In my research, that is correct. As I understand it, Milner was a plant foreman or something in head office for sure.
Okay, on this slide, just briefly, I'd like to mention I did find some internet information, very little information, but it confirmed there was a John Milner who actually was president of Lincoln Toy for a number of years. I don't know how many years. So this is sort of new information, I think, generally that we're sharing about the Milner and Miller connection. More about that later. Now, this truck slide you're looking at now, you should be looking at a green truck on the left, a red truck on your right. This is the first version Lincoln conventional cab. You'll know a two-piece cab frame design. That cab is separate of the front end of the truck. It was spot welded, of course. And if you look carefully at the front, you'll see vertical grills stamped into the steel. Bruce?
Yeah, I'd just like to bring everybody's attention to the boxes. These are referred to as wheelbarrow type of dump boxes. All the early trucks and really into the late 50s, Lincoln was still putting this box on most of their conventional trucks in their dump truck line. These two trucks both have steel wheels on it and are considered first generation Lincoln specialty trucks. I also bring your attention to the oval on the red truck, and it is gold and black, unlike the traditional yellow and black that we see on most of the toys. Next slide.
Okay, this slide, you see the green truck with vertical grill. However, on the red truck, it's the later version. The body frame is the same, but what's different, we now have the what we call the horizontal grill, or I think it's referred to as a chevron type grill as well. Bruce?
Yeah, that's correct. It just, again, both trucks have the gold and black decal versus the traditional yellow. The red truck is part of a tractor trailer combination unit, which we have pictures of in future slides. Next slide.
This is another early generation truck. It's mint shape. You can see that goldish decal, I believe, on the top of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce. With a yellow stake box, this truck is good enough to go into a box. And I think, to me, this early generation has a very smooth look to it. The way the steel hood forms down into the grill and down over the fenders. Bruce?
Yeah, again, second generation truck in the medium size. I don't know of any others other than the stake body on this style of truck. I don't believe that they made a dump truck. At least I've never seen one as of yet. Next slide.
There's several things in this picture that we're going to comment on, but just to start that, we're going to talk about the grill differences on these three trucks. We're going to talk about the grill bodies on these trucks, what's similar, what's different, and we're going to comment on the different windshield designs. Bruce?
Okay, well, we'll start off. There's actually 4 different Lincoln grills. There's 3 in this picture. I'll talk about the 4th later on. Starting off with the right-hand side where the arrow is, the grill that has no tab leading to the top of the hood. The second one, which is the green truck, as you can see, it has a narrow top on it, which we call the 2 bar. And then on the next, going to the left on the red truck, there's what they call the flat top or 3 bar. That's the 3 different types of grills in this picture. Also, like on that same truck, red truck, you'll notice in the windshield, there's no split like on the other 2. The centerpiece is gone in the windshield area. So it's just a little later on design truck. Also, the red and green trucks starting on the right are closed front fender trucks, whereas the red truck on the left is an open fender truck. Next slide.
These are open fender Lincoln cab trucks, of course, and you'll see they're dump trucks. The orange truck, note the large decaling, and you see the Lincoln script on the door and the Lincoln decal on top of the hood on both those trucks. And again, that's a common theme on these Lincoln conventional cab trucks. The orange dump box is very large. It's almost over scale in size and proportion of the cab. Just why those dumps and the later stake trucks have the size they do, I'm not sure, but it is interesting. And then the truck at the box has a smaller box, of course, and you can see that's decaled up as well. Bruce?
Excuse me, just like to point out that the Department of Highways truck is all orange. That didn't happen very often as part of the Lincoln group. Usually they were multicolored trucks, but it seems like Department of Highways are somewhat single colored dump trucks. Next slide.
These are the same two trucks, and we're showing you here the differences in them in the dumping system. The truck in front, the orange dump truck, has what is referred to as a wire lift, where the youngster playing with it or an adult would simply move that wire lever or lever upwards to dump the dump box. Notice how it's hinged at the back of the frame as well with the wire there you can see on the lower side of that picture. The truck in the back is I'm assuming a later version, of course, with a hydraulic assist that would dump the box up. And note the differences in the frame on these two trucks. This is on the Lincoln trucks, and keep this in mind once we go forward a while and show you the Elwood dump trucks. So differences in the frame. Here you can see an overhead view of the differences we talked about, and please note the blue dump goes much, much higher than the orange dump. Bruce?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out the little lever on the hydraulic dump. You would just flip that and the box would pop up, and most of the dirt would pop over the tailgate versus going through it. But it would be a pretty cool toy if you were a kid.
This slide shows the great graphics. Again, if you're a youngster playing with this dump truck, just imagine you're always staring at that Lincoln decal, and it just, I think, is another example of how graphic the decals were that Lincoln used, and they sure let you know that you were playing with a Lincoln toy. Here's the stake trucks I mentioned back a couple slides ago. This again, you'll see a large box on the orange Department of Highway truck compared to the same conventional cab truck at the back, the yellow one with the blue stake, where the blue stake box is smaller in size. Bruce?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out again that the there's 4 rectangular holes in the back yellow truck versus 3 in the front. You're going to see these style of trucks for Canadian Pacific, Department of Highways, Borden's milk truck. The one in the back is missing the canvas top, and we'll show you a picture of a nice version of it later on in our slides. They also have mechanical tailgates on those 2 trucks. Well-groomed comb. This is part of my collection. I've done some research on well-groomed combs. Not much known about them. Don't know what the connection was to well-groom and kids' toys, but they were a factory toy. And again, I'm happy to have it in my collection. Just to note, again, the 2 holes underneath well-groomed combs on the cab. These same trucks were used as dump trucks, and it would have had the self-loader on it. Next slide.
This slide depicts the various different styles of truck bodies that was available on these Lincoln Conventionals. Please note the truck with the yellow stake box and the red cab at the bottom of the picture would be an early generation truck. And it shows you the differences from an overview of that truck compared to the next version truck, the full fender trucks that the other four are. Bruce?
Yeah, just like to point out, these are all medium-sized trucks. Again, one with a self-loader, a lumber truck up top. Just like to make a mention that they did make a fire truck tractor trailer in the medium size, and it's one of the probably rarest medium-sized trucks out there. So if you have one in your collection, you have a pretty prized piece as part of the Lincoln line. Next slide.
My comments will be brief here. This is an L's Cycle Shop truck, the one on the red color. The one on the right is tan brownish color. That's an Elwood. And I will ask Bruce for a number of details on these two trucks. Bruce?
Okay, well, of course, the biggest one, the one on the right, which is the brown truck, has headlights and more of a flat bumper, a little higher, what we would call the hood, a little shorter fenders on the truck. The red truck is more of a, again, what we call the Richmond designed truck, wide fenders, a kind of a rounded bumper. Note the flat spot in the grill. We'll talk about it on another piece, another toy a little later. Again, a little shorter hood. And again, both of them have what we call the wheelbarrow boxes on the back.
These are the Elwood style dump trucks. And notice again, the wire lift on the red truck and the hydraulic cylinder lift on the white truck. And you'll see the blue box does tip up a bit higher, of course. And I'll turn it over to Bruce for further comments on these units.
Okay, just bring your attention. These two trucks both have saddle tanks on them, which are represented saddle tanks, which are just behind the cab. Again, a very hard to find truck with saddle tanks. If you happen to have one in your collection or find one, they're pretty hard to find. If you can see it, again, what we call the axle caps on the tires. The red truck, they're chrome, and on the white truck, they're actually painted white to match the truck. So occasionally you'll find that. Don't know why that happened or why they took the time to paint them, but again, another nice little touch from Lincoln Specialties.
This slide again shows you how well Lincoln identified those trucks and the type of action they had with them. This truck, I took this slide for two reasons. One, to show you how mint both of those trucks are. And the other reason is the story behind the decal, the Olson Truck Bodies logo that you see on both of those units. Bruce?
Yeah, just bring your attention to Olson Truck Bodies, which was in Tilbury, where Elwood Toys had his manufacturing plant. So there probably was a licensing agreement whether Olson went to Lincoln and said, put our name on your trucks and we'll give you so much money, or the other way around, Lincoln said, we'll put your name on our product. So there's that one. And there's also Phil Wood Truck Bodies. You're going to see that in one of the slides later on. That was another company that was on a lot of their dump truck and toys. Next slide.
These are tandem dump trucks. I tried to put these together a bit because of the decals, and I apologize, but please note those are tandem wheel dump trucks. And again, I draw your attention to the Lincoln decaling, the amount of decaling, the script on the door, the oval on the hood, And again, once again, we see the Lincoln Construction Company decal, very bold, very prominent. And again, you often see that particular decal on a lot of the construction type toys. Bruce?
Yeah, just again, both are tandem single dump trucks. Again, with the scoop, pretty hard to find. Bring your attention to what we call the roof guard, which attaches to the box. These two trucks both have a very unique piece that's on them. You don't see that very often as part of the Lincoln toy. They were only manufactured a short time, and then they went to either none or the big one that covered the entire roof.
This is an L Cycle Shop fire truck or ladder truck, often referred to as a fire truck. Bruce?
I'm just going to say that the wood ladders are not traditional ladders. It would have came with steel ladders, and I'll talk a little more in the next slide. Again, Al Cycle Shop. Al Cycle Shop, we know, only made a couple of toys, the fire truck and the dump truck that you've seen previously. We don't know of any other toys that Al Cycle Shop made at this time anyway. Again, the two trucks together, Al Cycle Shop and Elwood Products. And this is the only other toy that I've ever seen that has a single L in Elwood Products. Again, must have been an early toy. You can't really tell the differences until the next slide. So next slide. We can see the differences in the two trucks between Al Cycle and an Elwood truck. The Elwood truck being on the left and the Al Cycle Shop being on the right. Just subtle differences, rear axles being in a different spot, the ladder racks being in a different spot. The cab on both trucks are just a little bit different. So again, in the future presentation, we'll show you what a Richmond truck looks like. And the Al Cycle Shop is certainly very close to that truck. Next slide.
This is a beautiful set that apparently came together. And in the background, you'll see what's called the sand hopper. It's absolutely mint, in my opinion. Notice again the Lincoln script decals on the front of the sand hopper and the construction company decal on the side. On the back side of that sand hopper is actually a scoop or a hopper that will lift, and it goes up the boom arm vertically, and then will actually dump dirt material down into the hopper. The truck is a cement truck. There are different variations of these trucks you're going to see. This one is absolutely mint condition. Bruce?
Just like to point out again, the axle caps on this truck, they're quite wide, all one piece, nice and chrome. And just bring your attention to the shininess of the blue. There is a story that the paints they used were leftovers from the car manufacturers in Windsor, that barrels of leftover paint from cars went to Lincoln Specialties or to Elwood Toys, and that's what they painted the toys out of them. Whether that's true or not, that's out for debate, but it's certainly a good story.
This is the same truck, of course. You'll notice the Lincoln Ready Mix Concrete decal on there. Three very interesting trucks here. You'll note that those cabs are all different. Bruce?
Yeah, sleeper cab, what they call the sleeper cab style on the right. A diesel cab style with the lights in the middle, and then the traditional cab over style on the left. They did not make a conventional cement mixer that I know of at this time.
Also, isn't that center one an open grill and the other two are not?
That's correct. As part of the diesel cab, yes.
This is the top view of those same three cement mixers. Note the cement mixer tanks are different on the yellow truck.
The concrete truck on the left, the yellow and red one, it's got a pretty unique tumbler or drum on it. And I'd just like to show that, if you guys can see that, that's the same drum on it. It's a Crown brand corn syrup drum. It's the same can that Lincoln used on their early cement trucks. So a little bit of history, and if you ever need a spare drum, just pick up one of these. There are two different types of drums. The single piece, which is the yellow truck, and two-piece ones, which are on the sleeper cab and on the diesel cab. Next slide.
This is a sleeper cab, of course, and I point out the decals. You'll see the decal up on the hopper is what we call the typical Lincoln toy decal. There's no reference to Elwood in that decal. So that is what we would call, again, the standard Lincoln toy decal. Made in Canada, and underneath it's basically has Tilbury, Ontario, and the trademark patent on it. And this is another one of the Department of Highways decal truck. And here in this slide, we see the Elwood decal. So the Elwood products obviously would have, for the most part, but not always, have this made in Elwood metal products decal, as you see in this slide. And again, notice the Lincoln script type down there on the sleeper cab door, which, by the way, if you look at it, the door handle's at the back side, so that makes that a suicide door, as we call it.
Again, both sleeper cabs, the dump truck, the Phil Woods, which I was talking about before. I'd just like you to briefly notice the little tab on the side of the dump box for lifting it. Unlike the rest, which had a traditional wire lift, this one has a little tab built onto the side of the wheelbarrow box to dump it. Again, tow truck, very nice details, and the first kind of Dunlop tire. Dunlop tire was on a lot of their tow trucks as well. Again, two different rescue trucks, the conventional style with the back on it. This is also was used for the Bell telephone truck. It was only the two trucks that I know of. The sleeper cab with the rescue back, it was again a rescue truck, and the only one they used. I don't know of it being used for any other type of brand of toy at this time anyway. Just note the two traditional steel ladders, both on top, both correct for the trucks. Again, an up-close version of the sleeper cab. For some reason, they just plunked the back on and left the space between the cab and the box. I guess they didn't want to do any retooling, so they just used the same truck. Lincoln used a lot of the same trucks and just changed the combination of boxes on the back. They used whatever they had. Next slide.
This is a very hard to find truck. Please have a good look at it, the detail and everything. Bruce?
Again, this is what we call the diesel cab truck, open grill. It has two little, you can't see it that well, two little chrome rivets at the front that you could tilt the cab up. It also has a chrome piece that went around the front bumper, which are all correct for the truck. Also note the axle caps, a little different design, and the racks in this truck all come off. So it was a nice little play toy. Next slide.
And here
again, a different slide, a different picture of it, Lincoln Express. Just a kind of a cool little truck that they only made this with. They didn't do any other styles with this truck. Next slide.
This is an early version generation Lincoln conventional cab. As you can see, a good side profile shot. Again, these two trucks would have the, I believe it looks, they have the chevron or the horizontal front grille. Please note the decals on these trucks. We have the Canadian Pacific Express, and in the background, a little bit hard to see, but that's labeled as a Lincoln, basically a Lincoln Transport Express truck. And here, same trucks, you can see on the side, Canadian Pacific Express, and they listed 5 major cities across Canada. Note the trailer, Bruce.
Yes, these trailers, Lincoln Specialties use these same style of trailers and all their, what we call the delivery tractor trailers. They use them on Purity Flower, but all the trailers are the same. They are quite close to what they call the Wyandotte trailers. If you put them side by side, they're pretty close. And also there was a little company called Mitten Toys in Galt, Ontario, that used the same style of trailer, but the wheels in the back of the trailer are open. They don't have fender skirts on them like these ones do.
This shows that beautiful Lincoln Transport Canada Highway Express decal. This slide has another version. A truck in the back has that same Lincoln Transport Canada Express decal, but this time the colors are different on the truck. The truck in front has Star Weekly decal on it, and the bottom, it may be a little bit hard for you to read, but it does say Canada's Best Comics. The Star Weekly, Bruce and I are not sure of the history of that particular newspaper. If you know, we'd love to know. We wonder, but we're not sure if that might have been a forerunner to the Toronto Star, but we don't know. That's speculation. Bruce?
Yeah, again, Star Weekly, pretty hard to find truck in any condition. Again, I noticed the 2 trailers, same trailers, just different paint schemes. They also made an Ogilvy flower and a Purity flower, which I believe is the next slide. These 2 trucks would have came with 3 wooden barrels, a ladder / slide to slide the barrels out of the back of the truck, and a couple, or a dolly for a barrel dolly as well. They were marketed that way. I know there's a couple of collectors on here that have the carts. I have seen the wooden barrels, and they do say Ogilvy flower right on them. So if you happen to find one of those, it's a pretty rare piece. The Purity flower part of this, 2 really nice trucks. I don't know if they were competition against each other or what the or whether they were both manufactured from the same mill and just different names, but nice toys. Next slide.
These are garbage trucks, 2 different versions, of course. The truck in the lower bottom will be a Lincoln conventional cab truck with a garbage bin on it, of course, and the truck in the back obviously is an Elwood sleeper design with a different style garbage box on it. Bruce?
Just like to mention that the red truck on the bottom of the screen is a medium size. I don't know of if they ever did a conventional garbage truck in the big size. I've never seen one if they did. Just notice the hopper behind the sleeper cab. That piece is used on numerous other toys. It's used on the sand loader, which we'll have a picture of it in a minute. And it's also used on their cement trucks as well.
An overview of the same 2 trucks.
These are what they call the delivery style or van body conventional trucks. Again, two versions, an ambulance and a green ambulance. Whether that was supposed to be an army version, I don't know. These trucks also were used on a couple other nice trucks that we'll get to in a minute. Next slide.
That green truck you just looked at, correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce, but that's a rather difficult version to find in green. Is that correct?
That's correct. The green version is pretty hard to find truck to find. I only know of a couple.
Yeah, we talk about Simpson's catalogs and the Simpson Company in Canada. This is their branded truck that Lincoln would have done for him. Bruce?
Yeah, again, Simpson's truck. There are a few of these around. Simpson's is the only catalog that seemed to put a truck, or Lincoln did a truck for. They never did one for Eaton's, even though Eaton's sold the product as well. Just a front version showing the truck, and pay attention to the grill. It's the little single tab on the grill that goes over the hood of the truck. A Planters peanut in red. Very, very, I'll say a rare truck to find in this color. Came in green and in red, with the red being the hardest one to find. A nice example here, well played with, but still a nice piece.
This is a very, I suspect, unique truck. It's a Smith's decal truck. Smith's, I'm told, was a large department store in Windsor years ago, and apparently sold pretty well much whatever you might be looking for. This is a really nice original truck. I'll let Bruce comment further on it.
Yeah, I know most of you guys are tractor guys, and this truck to me is, when I seen it, it's a really, really rare piece. It's the only one I've ever seen. Whoever has it in their collection, it's certainly a prized Lincoln to have. It's one of those pieces that pops up, and it makes you keep looking for Lincoln toys. But yeah, very, very rare truck right there. Next slide.
We're going to show you different car carrier and truck carriers now. This is an Elwood sleeper cab with plastic cars made by Reliable. Reliable was a Canadian toy company, well known for plastic toys. And these cars underneath, up on the bottom of the hood underneath, has the Reliable name logo stamped in it. Bruce?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that as far as I know, Lincoln only used these four, cars from Reliable, and there is a Corvette, a Jag, a Rolls Royce, and a Mercedes. They were shipped out in any combination and in any color, but as far as I know, it's the only plastic cars from Reliable that were put out. In 1955, there was one other set of plastic cars came out for 1 year only on Lincoln Toys on their car carriers, and they were Cadillacs, but they were only used for 1 year, and then they went to Reliable from the traditional steel car, which we'll have a picture of in a minute.
This is a different set now with the open fender Lincoln truck.
Again, the two Corvettes, or three Corvettes, and the Mercedes on the top, both correct, all correct cars for this truck. Next slide.
This set's rather unique in a couple ways. One, again, we have an open wheel cab, Lincoln cab. Note these cars are steel design, they're stamped steel, and I'm told very difficult to find. And they do have Lincoln decals on them and stamped steel grills. Bruce?
Yeah, I'd just like to note that the dolly wheel on the trailer, that little rubber tire, are the same tires that are on these cars. All the economy dump trucks, the little wee ones, and the fire trucks, all these exterior grills all fit each other. They're really nice little pieces. Why Lincoln stopped producing their own steel cars and went to plastic ones, other than maybe cost cutting, is up for speculation. I don't really know. Next slide.
This slide shows you the cars and all the Lincoln decals again, and a pretty good view of the stamped steel grills in the front of those cars. This is a very unique truck set. I'll let Bruce explain it.
Again, a very early version of the cab over truck. It has what they call the raised fifth wheel, which is just one piece of steel. It's not molded into the truck. It's called a high boy trailer, or what I call a high boy trailer. would have came with these two traditional mini or economy trucks on the back. The trailer is missing the tailgate or ramp to get the trucks up onto it. Again, this is the second version, a little more traditional single deck trailer, traditional fender skirts on the back of the trailer, conventional cab. The ramp is on the truck, even though you can't see it that well, with two traditional economy trucks on it. Now, this truck also would have came with cars and or a car and a dump truck on the back of it. These one version of the economy trucks had what they call internal grills, not external, internal, so the grill fit from inside. Don't know why they changed the truck. Halfway through, they were all produced at the same time. I don't think any was produced earlier or later, other than maybe it was a manufacturing product with the dies and they decided to try a little different product for a while. Again, a close-up. This one has a painted grill on it, which is also correct. Occasionally, you'll find a Lincoln truck with a painted grill on it, and that is 100% correct. Next slide.
This is a beautiful mint truck that's good enough for a box. And yes, that tarp is factory original.
Again, we talked about the Canadian Pacific truck earlier. They didn't have the top. This is the traditional top that it would have had. It's a type of canvas, and it would have came in numerous different colors. Yellow, blue, and red are the three prominent ones that I've seen. Just a back version of the truck showing the tailgate that folds down. And the tarp actually does come off. So if you wanted to take it off to play with the toy, you could have.
This is a very rare, unique setup. This is what we would call a hopper trailer. I think it's the correct terminology. This is one of a kind prototype. Bruce?
Yeah, again, when I seen this truck for the first time, it kind of made my heart leap. A very beautiful prototype, I would call this truck. Now, for any of you that have seen the 1956 Lincoln catalog, there is a version of this truck on the front of the catalog, and the next presentation will show it. I'll get you a picture of the catalog. Why they didn't produce it, I don't know. It certainly would have been a fun toy as a kid to play with. Why they never put it into production, I do not know. It's just a beautiful toy, and again, as a prototype, just a beautiful toy that was never produced that we know of.
That previous trailer was dipped in a paint tank, apparently, to paint that. It would have been all red, and then we assume tipped upside down and inserted down into the paint to put the green on it. And those lines are straight between the red and the green. Very unique trailer. Okay, we're going to talk about tow trucks here briefly. Bruce?
Yes, the red truck has what we call the fourth style of grill, which we call a bug-eye grill. The main difference being the orange truck, the headlights are indented. On the red truck, they're pointed forward or extended, so they kind of look like bug eyes. The other difference is it does not have a tab on the top of the of what they call the grill that goes over the hood. It's gone on this truck. This type of grill was not used a lot. Traditionally, it's on most of the Coke trucks. A few of the tow trucks like this one, and a few of the dump trucks. You don't see it very often on any of the other trucks as well. Also, the orange truck in the back, just pay attention to the two rubber tires on the boom of the tow truck. That is 100% correct. Why they put it on some and not the rest, I don't know, other than it was a selling feature for the truck. Again, a yellow oval on the orange truck and the gold black oval on the red truck. Two different versions of the traditional Lincoln oval. Next slide.
Note the Dunlap tire decals on the red tow truck and just simply Lincoln tow truck on the back one. Bruce.
Again, the orange truck has a chain and a hook on it, which is correct. The red truck probably had a string on it. They both came that way from Lincoln. Why, we don't know, but both are correct as part of the truck manufacturer.
Two different tow trucks. This will be the open fender truck, of course, and beautiful, beautiful color combinations. Very graphic trucks. Just beautiful pair of trucks. Bruce?
Again, long version tow trucks. Just bring your attention to the hubcaps on these two, which are totally different. The gray one in the back has full hubcaps on it. The one in the front, the yellow truck, has a hubcap and an acorn, what they call an acorn axle cap on it. So both are correct. Why the difference? Unknown. Again, the orange truck has a string for the hook, and the gray truck has a chain for the hook. Both are correct. Again, just the difference in hubcaps and axle caps, chain and the string hook. Both same tow trucks, but just minor differences. Both are correct. Next slide.
This is a beautiful, what we call Lincoln ice truck. This one is green and yellow, and yes, the two ice cubes and the tongs came with the toy truck. Bruce?
Correct. There are different versions of the ice truck, but they all came with two ice cubes and a pair of tongs for play value. And, just a different angle showing the two ice cubes and the tongs. Again, very nice box showing the actual truck, the two ice cubes in the back, the tongs, and the catalog number of what the toy truck was. And again, on the top of the box, the Canadian manufacturer's logo. The truck you're seeing now actually has the insert for the two blocks of ice and the ice tongs. I've only ever seen this once before, and it's a pretty special piece to have the insert with the chain in the back to hold the ice cubes and the tongs in.
This is a Coca-Cola truck done by Lincoln. Coca-Cola items, as you know, are very collectible. I assume this truck is as well. Bruce?
Yeah, made this in two versions, red and gray. If you can notice the grill on this truck, it is painted yellow. That is correct. They're pretty much any that I've seen have had a yellow grill on them. They would have came with the wooden crates on the backs, which are supposed to be Coke cases. They would have had 12 that came with the truck. Just nice little play well truck. Coke is the only thing that these were used for. I do know of a prototype, we believe, which is Orange Crush. And I have also heard that they made a Verner's Ginger Ale truck, but I've never officially seen one. So something to look for when you guys are out there. Next slide.
We have a few brand trucks we're going to show you. This is a diesel version, the high hood Elwood cab over, of course, a Canadian Pacific tractor trailer with a pup. Bruce?
Yeah, again, a pretty hard truck to find. They were only sold in the truck was never sold by itself. It always had the pup on the back. These two boxes don't match the trailers that Lincoln made, so they were made differently. They're a little shorter. Occasionally, you'll find a truck with no pup. And if you find the pup by itself, I would recommend you buy it because it's a very valuable piece. I only know of them having the Canadian Pacific decals on it. Again, there may be others out there, but I don't know of any. Next slide.
This is a very unique Lincoln log truck with a lot of interesting features. Bruce?
Yeah, again, Lincoln used a lot of different parts. The actual deck on this truck is the same deck that they used on the double deck car carriers. In the lumber truck, it's just turned upside down. What we call the bogies, or the red part on the trailer, was actually used on the graders. It's the same articulating bogie on the grader that you'll find on this truck here. So Lincoln used a lot of the same parts to do their toys. Pretty smart on their behalf. The dowels, I believe, are correct for the truck. I know on the medium-sized Lincoln lumber truck, it came with dowels, so I'm sure the big one came with dowels as well, probably 5. Next slide.
This just shows you the nice Lincoln decals on it, and they've got a lumber company here. Bruce?
Again, they made this truck, and we just found that they made a diesel cab with the Lincoln Lumber Company on it. The decal, if you have that truck, it's a pretty special, pretty hard to find truck. We only know of a few in existence that are out there in collections. Next slide.
We're going to show you a few brand trucks here quickly. They're all tractor trailers. Bruce?
Loblaws. Again, one of the only chain stores that they mass produced. Again, the 2-piece trailer, all red. I only know of the conventional truck and trailer in this combination. I've never seen any other Loblaws trucks in my research. Again, Lowney's truck, the closed front fender truck. This truck did come in different combination of colors. There's red ones out there and the green ones out there. I don't know if it was ever a giveaway for Lowney's chocolate bars, but a pretty nice truck to find. Again, Lincoln van lines with the diesel cab. Notice the saddle tanks. Some of these trucks also came with stacks on them, so they really looked like a diesel truck. Again, a nice combination. The Lincoln van lines came in a number of different color combinations as well. Conventional truck, different color combination trailer. Next slide.
This is a custom truck, but it is a Lincoln. It's customized to be an Atlas Van Lines truck. Bruce?
Just pay attention. Some of you might think, and we did too, that the top of the cab had been cut. It is not. It's just the way the truck's painted. You will occasionally find Lincoln trucks that have been modified or custom painted. Some people like them, some people don't. I think it's just it's a nice piece that somebody put the time and effort into. Purity Flower, again, this is a factory piece. These trucks are out there. Pretty simple truck, just a green trailer with Purity Flower decal on it. A fairly hard truck to find again. The cab of this truck was used on their open trailers as well, which we had a picture of a little while ago. So again, just reusing some of the decals and to produce another product. Next slide.
This is an Allied Van Line truck, of course. It is the diesel cab. Bruce?
Again, you can see the stack on this one just at the back of the cab. It's very hard to see, but it is there. Allied Van Lines had a lot of, or should say, Lincoln brought out a lot of Allied Van Lines trucks and trailers. A lot of them have private label names of the actual moving company on them. So I'm probably were given away if Allied moved you, your kids got a free truck with the moving company name on them. Again, a really nice truck and lots of combinations. Again, the front of the truck, you can just see the little oval that says diesel on the front of it, just to make you know it was a diesel truck. Again, the saddle tanks, and again, the different style of axle caps on the wheels. This is the first truck that has the rubber style tire on it versus composite or plastic. Next slide.
Please note the traditional Lincoln toy decal on the back of that Allied van truck. We need to point out it probably appears that back of that van is made out of wood. It is not. Bruce has verified these would have been all steel trailers. The wood grain you see in the picture, it's a reflection off the wood table that the truck sits on.
The hitch on the truck, or the fifth wheel, has a little lever on it for coupling and uncoupling it. In the later times, the pin on the trailer, the first generations was just a tab, and then they went to pins, I guess, because the tabs broke off. The dolly wheel is the same wheel that's used on the steel Lincoln cars and on some of the Massey 44 wagons. They're the same style of wheels. So again, Lincoln used a lot of the same parts on their trucks. Next slide.
And my thanks to Doug Vincent, who puts these PowerPoints together, and it takes him several hours to do it. Also to Bruce for his great assistance and help to me, and to Len Conser and for assistance and providing information to us. You'll see other sources that we've quoted verbally through all three of our presentations, and our thanks to those types of sources. And there's other people that have provided comment along the way. Bruce and I very much appreciate all the assistance we've received. And to all of you who are listening on, thank you. Back to Doug. Or Bruce, any comment? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks everybody for chiming in. Just a little of the background for me. I am archiving Canadian Toys. So if any of you have any catalogs or toys that you think Canadian Toys that you think I may be interested of it, please call me and allow me to have a picture of it for the archive. I think we're up to close to 1,000 for other Canadian made toys. So if you have any catalogs or anything in your collections that you think I may be interested in, please give me a shout, and we'll try and archive some of this Canadian history before it gets lost. Again, thanks very much to Doug for sponsoring this and putting it on.
Oh, wow. What a great presentation of Lincoln trucks. My goodness. You guys have sure done your homework. Lots of interesting information there on both the Lincoln history and the variety of manufacturers who were involved in producing items marketed by Lincoln. Do we have anyone who wants to ask a question at this point? And if so, just push your space bar to toggle on your microphone.
Claire has his hand up, I think.
Go ahead, Claire.
I just wanted to, I was trying to do a clap because I'm very impressed with the research and the work you guys have done. This is excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else have a question or a comment? Well, if not, on behalf of all the collectors gathered here, Doug and Bruce, thank you so much for taking the time not only to present this information, but to do all the behind the scenes work in order to do the research and share with us what you've learned. I know you've put a lot of hours into it, and we've kind of had fun creating all of this information. And friends, as Doug Dan alluded at the start, we realize we've got a whole bunch of additional photos. Many are construction related toys, some are non-toys, and we may have a few updates from previous sessions that we'll throw in there. So likely sometime in the new year, once this information is gathered, we'll do a session 4, which will be a miscellaneous Lincoln Toys and update on new information that we've learned in the meantime. And by all means, if any of you have interesting Lincoln photos or interesting Lincoln information or stories, please get a hold of Bruce or Doug or myself so that they can be included in the future session 4. So I've recorded this session, so if all goes well, we'll post it onto YouTube, and I'll post the link onto the Ontario Toy Collecting Facebook page and the Ontario Toy Show and Auction Facebook page, so that those who missed part of it, or if you want to share it with friends, then you can pass it on to them. So is there anything else before we wind up for tonight? Unless there's any other comments, we'll call it a night. Any last thoughts?
Just like to thank whoever the people were that allowed us to see pictures of their collections. It's wonderful to see them, and I'd like to thank them for allowing us into their homes to take pictures and sharing. Part of collecting is sharing, and thank you very much for those people who did it.
Oh, absolutely. And let me echo those thanks too, Bruce. Thank you for saying that, because without the collectors sharing their collections, and in some cases sharing their privacy, allowing people to go into their homes, and sure, it's fun to share your collection, but to do the photographs and get them all out of the boxes and organized for photos, that's a lot of work and a lot of time. So we really do appreciate the folks who have been kind enough to assist in this presentation by sharing their collections and allowing the photos. And so thanks again to Doug and Bruce, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Okay, bye everyone.